there, God bless you. I'm Karine. Welcome to the Supportive Environment. In this video, I will be sharing with you our first week of homeschool, back to homeschool for the 2023-2024 homeschool year. Let's get started. Okay, so for this week, for the first week, the resources that I used with Isaac for first grade were these ones, most of these ones that are here. Okay, so here is the book that we use for Bible learning. It is a Eagermere's Bible storybook, and we read the first stories. Now, this Bible, it explains things to children. It's very comprehensive, but it also has very important information on the back. It shows, so for example here, it talks about parable recorded in 3 Gospels. So all the way in the back, this Bible has very good information. So this is our Lord's parables. And so it tells you what the parables are, the principal point, where on the Bible. For example, the tares. And it's in Matthew 13:24. And the principal point of it is good and bad grow together. It also has great prayers of the Bible, Old Testament prayers, and then here it has the New Testament prayers. These are my notes that I have here. It has helpful information, helpful Bible information, how we got our Bible. So it tells you the books of the Bible, Old Testament books, books of the law, historical books of the Old Testament. This is a great Bible for youth. It explains things very comprehensively. This is what we used, and we used it for the first week, and of course we're going to be using it every week. So that was what we used and what we will be using for the Bible along with our Bible. And so when we start, the first thing that I do, it's actually, we do the Bible reading. Any other read-alouds I could leave for later, but what I like to do first is the Bible reading for the kids. Okay, as for history, we are going to be using a number of resources. We are using Sunlight, the all subject package. Isaac is on first grade, but he's using, for history, Bible literature, and science, he's using the level K. For language arts, he's using the level 1. So for history, this is the Osborne Children's Encyclopedia. This is one of the spines with Sunlight. And for the first week, we actually are on a different, I do put these flags so that it helps me instead of, okay, so for the first week, we talked about dinosaurs and the first people, and What I like about Sunlight is that on the instructor's guide, it has notes how to talk about some subjects that or topics that might be a little bit more controversial or difficult to talk about. So you as a parent have a guide, but you ultimately decide how you're going to present that. For example, here, the part about dinosaurs, it says that there were animals on earth long before there were any people. Different kinds of animals lived at different times. At one time, the biggest and fastest animal on earth were the dinosaurs. Okay. Now, so far this is all good, and this definitely goes hand in hand with the Bible, because God first created the animals, right? Before he created Adam, before he created humans, right? Before he created the first man, God first created animals. There were animals on earth long before there were any people. Okay, now over here it gets a little bit more controversial when people want to get on the nitty-gritty with the age of the earth, you know, how old the planet is and all that stuff. So it says here, all dinosaurs lived on land. Some hunted other animals for food, but many of them ate plants. Most dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, long before the first people appeared. Okay, all right, so, and then it says only the birds survived. Now, on the Sunlight Instructor's Guide, it gives suggestions, right? Especially for little children, for little kids. They don't know exactly what millions of years are. So in this case, I explained to my child many years ago, right? Long time ago. As my child keeps growing and maturing, we're going to be talking about number more specifically. But at this moment, this is not necessary. So yeah, I just, instead of saying millions of years, I say many years ago. Plus, really, only God knows how old is our planet, right? This is a very controversial topic here. Now, I'm a Christian woman, and 65 millions a year for a scientist really could have been maybe a year for God. Because the thing is that, do we know how fast the earth was spinning back then? Do we know? I mean, a day is based on the rotation of the earth. Okay, so this is what we talked on the first week. All right, so also then on the first week, we spoke about the first people. The first people lived by hunting animals, catching fish, gathering plants to eat. Okay, so on the Bible, we talked about Adam and Eve. We talked about Adam and Eve, about how God created everything. But after that, after God created them and they committed the sin of eating the apple, disobeying God, they had to go hunting. They had to go and get their own food. They had to work for their food. Okay, so again, it's, explaining things with God's perspective, with the perspective of God. Okay. Okay, so this is what we talked on the first week. Okay. Now, that was for Bible and history. We did a little bit of the another book long ago, but not very in detail. So, okay, now for science, this is the book that was scheduled on the instructor's guide, Science Level K from Sunlight. Ants. And oh my God, does Isaac love this book and other more like this one. Ant life and just learning about it. So Isaac enjoyed this. He made me read it multiple times. This has become an instant favorite of Isaac. After we read the book about ants, on the activity sheet on the science portion, then he had to do this activity. He asked some questions. What is an ant? Are ants a type of insect, reptile, mammal, or bird? And then he had to select which one is correct. So that was what he did for week 1. Now on science also, but really we are treating this more as a read aloud. I'm saying science because it's in the science portion, but it's a read aloud because I read this aloud to him and he really enjoys that. We also read the Bees and Wasps book from Osborne, which is it's an Osborne beginner's book. Now this book is not scheduled on the Sunlight Instructor's Guide until week 13. However, Isaac wanted me to read the book. Was I going to say to him, no, you have to wait until week 13? Of course not. I said, you want to read it? Of course, let's read it. When week 13 comes and we have to reread the book, we'll reread it again. And he will have this already previous knowledge about it. Now, one thing that I want to mention is when we read these 2 books, Isaac also asked me to find videos about ants and find videos about bees. So after we read the books, we also went on YouTube and we found videos that helped us to learn more about ants and bees and enhanced the reading and the learning experience. So that was it. Okay, now let's talk about read aloud. Although, like I said, really, all these books are read aloud because I read it aloud to Isaac. But the official one scheduled on the Sunlight Instructor's Guide as a read aloud for week 1 was Dolphin Adventure. We read the entire book. We love this book. It was a very fast and quick read, 8 small chapters, very comprehensive. Okay, as for language arts, on week 1, the first week of homeschool, we kept it simple. All I had Isaac do for week 1 was to practice, to review actually, because he had already practiced all these cards during the 2022-2023 homeschool year. So for this new homeschool year, 2023-2024, I just had Isaac review all the word cards that he had practiced during level 1 of All About Reading. Now, Isaac was able to read fluently most of the cards. So all the cards that he mastered are here. I took the cards, the word cards from the review box, which is this one over here. This is the review box. I took all the cards that he mastered, which were most of them, and I have placed them in a Ziploc bag. And I labeled the bag Word Cards Level 1, mastered by Isaac, All About Reading. Okay? Now there were a few words that he still hesitated or like didn't read as fluently. So I actually kept, you see there are a few word cards that he still needs to review from level 1. But it's very, very minimum. It's less than 10 cards. Now, all the cards that are here on this big bulk, those are from level 2, and that's what he's going to be studying for this upcoming school year, 2023, well, not upcoming, we're already on it. For the 2023-2024 school year, this is what he's going to be practicing from level 2. But for week 1, I just have him review. That's it, review. As you can see, we still have to sort of review the phonograms from level 1 because I don't want to put those away until I do a final review and make sure that he is fluent with the phonograms. And if there are any that he needs to review, then I will keep them in the box. I am only taking out of the box what he has mastered. Okay, so those were, that was as far as the practice words. Now, I also had Isaac read Reader Book 1 from I Can Read It, Book 1. This is by John Holzman. This came with the Sunlight Language Arts and Readers. And so I just had Isaac read the first few stories. This was a very easy read for Isaac because Isaac is familiar with all these words and sounds, so this was a very easy read. Again, on week 1, I kept it simple because it's about getting him back on track. During the entire month of July, Isaac did not do homeschool. We moved, we were busy, we did a lot of things, so he didn't even practice his readers. So I restarted him with easy reading so that he's feeling comfortable again, and he was able to read these stories pretty fast, pretty fluently, and that's what he did for week 1. Okay, now for handwriting in language arts. Now I got the language arts level 1 from Sunlight. But I have, as far as the reading, phonics, mainly Isaac is going to be using really all about reading. However, Sunlight is great because it encompasses not just good reading, but also good writing. And so the activity sheet from Language Arts for week 1, which is this one right here, it asks for Isaac to do copy work or copy. Isaac had to copy the sentence. That's what he had to do. Now you can see here that he copied the same sentence twice. The first time that he copied the sentence, it's actually 2 sentences, right? The fat rat is pat, fat. You can see that on the first one, he just put all the letters together, right? And it was difficult to be able to read the sentence. Now, this was so enlightening for me. This was great for me because then it gave me the opportunity to explain to him, okay, when you write each word, you have to leave space in between, because if everything is together, you will not be able to know where the word begins and where the word ends. And so, as you can see, he did a second try down here, and he did leave space. Okay, so at the very top, you can see everything is together. Now on the second try, the fat rat is pat. Now, he still has work to do in this area, but it was much better. Also, he did his punctuation and his question mark. He began the sentence with capital letter, each sentence with capital letter, and he wrote the name with the capital letter as well, the first letter of the name with capital letter. Now, then at the bottom it says, write your name beginning with a capital letter. So he wrote his name. We still have to continue working on his handwriting. But in this particular activity, I did not focus on his handwriting, because children, when they are learning, if you give them too many instructions, they will get confused. You have to focus on one thing at a time. So in this case, I just told him copy the sentence. And what I focused on this part was that he wrote the sentence grammatically properly, right? With the first letter, capital, putting the period where it needs to be, and making sure that when he writes a name, the first letter of that name is with a capital. I did not focus on telling him, oh, your E doesn't look good. Your F is written bad. Your letter A, no. I didn't focus on the handwriting on this part. That's going to be on a separate activity. You cannot focus on too many things because for children, you need to work on things in small chunks, right? So that they can, once they master different areas as they grow, then these things will become second nature. They will be able to focus on multiple things at a time, but at the beginning, you have to select one thing at a time. Now, then down here, where it's talking about capitalization, on number 2, it says underline the names in your copywork. All right, underline the names in your copywork. So Isaac actually went up here and here underlined the name. He did not know what an underlining was, so I had to explain to him. Underline is when you put a line under, if it tells you underline a sentence, then you will put a line under that whole sentence, okay? Now, then it said on number 3, put a box around the capital letters at the beginning of each sentence. So he put a box on the capital letters at the beginning of each sentence. So this is to show that the child knows what he's doing. Again, we have a lot of work to do on his handwriting. He has a handwriting workbook, but when it comes to copyworks and things like this, I am not going to I'm not going to tackle the handwriting part. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on different things at different times, and then little by little we will be incorporating those things, okay? Now on the other side, there is another copywork, and this one also was better than the very first one, right? I mean, he's still, again, we got to work on his handwriting. This is amazing because it shows me the areas that we need to focus, but I love that he wrote the name. This was without me telling him or prompting him. He wrote the names beginning with a capital letter. He began his sentence beginning with a capital letter. He put the period where it needed to be. Although I see that on the last sentence, he did miss the period. So yeah, I'm just noticing this right now, actually. He did miss the little dots right there. But that was the only thing overall. And then I wrote some notes for myself, just to keep us record. But this actually was his very, very first copy work ever. Like, he's been doing handwriting, he's been tracing letters and things. I'm happy with what he did, and we're just going to continue to improve from this point on. All right. So as for language arts, that's what he used for this week. Word cards, he read, and then he did some copy work, handwriting, grammar practice. Okay, now let's move on to mathematics. All right, so, Isaac said that is his favorite. Okay, so for mathematics, again, first week, he had not done math in a while, okay? Yeah. We were moving, we were getting things organized. First week of mathematics, I kept it simple, guys. All he used was the abacus, and I just gave him these cards because I needed him to do some independent work because I was busy doing some things, and I could not be there next to him doing math with him. So last year for 2022-2023, he started doing Right Star Mathematics Level A. For 2023-2024, he's going to continue with Right Star Mathematics Level A because we didn't finish the book. So we're going to pick up right where we left off. But for the first week, I didn't even use the curriculum. What I did was, for the first week, I had him review his additions, right? So I gave him these cards, and he actually wrote the equation here on this notebook. This is just a notebook. And actually it says 2022-2023 Isaac Math, but I'm gonna update it. I'm gonna write 2023-2024 because he's gonna continue using this one for this homeschool year, because on this one he's only used a few pages, so he's going to continue to use this notebook. And so I just had him, I gave him this card. He wrote the equation and he put the answer. And if he needed, if he was stuck on something, he could use the abacus to find the answer. This abacus thing is great. So he was able to do some independent work. I kept it simple. Also, he used this. I purchased this. I don't remember exactly where, but he used this. 100 is my favorite number. This is like, he can do different things with this. So he did the 100 chart. Look, 100 here. Oh, Isaac is showing. Okay, so he did the 100 chart, all the way from 1 to 100. You know, just making sure, practicing, reviewing his numbers, and that was what he did for week 1. Keeping it simple. So that was that. Okay, and then just one resource that I used for me was this timer. This timer helps me really, it's not just for the kids, it's also good because it's visual, and it helps me to keep track of time. It helps me to see visually how much we are spending on a particular subject. And like, there are things that sometimes, you know, they need to take breaks from, right? So this helps you to, this is definitely very useful, this timer. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So these are pretty much the resources that we used for this week. These are my notes here that I have. But that was week 1, and so we are picking from there and just working on building that momentum. Also, we call it homeschool, but it's really home learning, it's life learning. And so those were the resources, materials that we used. But Isaac and Zoe, what they did the most, which is part of their development, is play. They played a lot. They went to the park, they went out. One thing that we are very grateful for since we moved here to Florida is that the kids get to spend time outside, outdoors every day. And I'm just very grateful to God for that. That is something that really you can be able to do from anywhere. But when we were living in New Jersey, we were living in an apartment and we did not go out every day. In all honesty, I did try to take them out as often as possible on a daily basis, but I was not able to do it every day. But here they just step outside and they are right outside. Because we do not live in an apartment. So that is the advantage of being able to live. I will say, even if the person lived in an apartment and it is a first floor and it has a little patio, then the kids will be able to go outside. I think that for kids, it's very, very important that they spend time outside every day or as often as possible. And so that is also one of the main reasons why we made a decision that we made. And here we are. So being very grateful to God every single day, being grateful to God for today, being grateful to God every single day. And yes, that's really my favorite part, is that the kids get to spend time outdoors every day, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, God, for that. Yes. All right, well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, please give it a thumbs up, and share your comments if you have any comments that can help me on any area, or if you have any questions, any suggestions, please share your comments. Thank you. God bless you. Until next time.